Hello everyone and welcome back to Mikey Reacts. We've got a great one for you today. Today we are doing 5 more amazing facts about the United States. I have loved learning these obscure, interesting and weird, let's say, facts about the United States. And today is no exception. This is not episode 2 in a series of interesting facts about the United States. So I'm really excited to teach you these, as I've had a great time learning them. If you already knew these facts, let me know down in the comments below, because I would love to know if there are any other facts that you would like to let me know or you want me to cover on this series. So before we get to it, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support is absolutely everything to me. So hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any notifications or any new content. And check down in the description for Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. Patreon is full of political and historical content, analyses, and news of the day. I post 2 to 3 times per week, videos and some written pieces every week. So go ahead, it's only $5 per month. You will absolutely love it and don't miss out. So let's get to this video and let's start with number 1 is Abraham Lincoln. It's an interesting fact about Abraham Lincoln, the very president who was a leader of the Union during the Civil War, and he was of course unfortunately assassinated by John Wilkes Booth whilst he was in the theater. But the interesting fact about Abraham Lincoln is that he was or is the tallest president that has ever been in United States history. He measured at a height of 193 centimeters. That is, for us Brits and you Americans, 6 foot and 3 inches. Just above 6 feet 3 inches, actually 6.33 inches, which is actually really interesting because 6'3" is actually really tall. But you know, as we get, as society goes on now, you know, the average height keeps increasing. But if you consider that he was 6'3" in 1860 or 1863, you imagine how tall people must have thought he was, because the average height was much shorter than it is now. I think the average height for men is like 5'10" or 5'11". The average height was probably a little lower than that in the 1800s, in 1860. So for him to be, you know, for him to be that tall, that's pretty impressive. That is fact number 1. Fact number 2, which is really interesting, this is all about the US Capitol. Did you know what the dome of the US Capitol building is made out of? I'll leave you 5 seconds to leave it down in the comments right now. 2, 3, 4, 5. If you said it was made from cast iron, you were completely correct. Any other answers are wrong. So it was made from cast iron girders. It was a really common building material during that time. It was used to make railroad tracks, bridges, and essentially line roads. So it's a really interesting fact that because it was such a common material, they saw nothing uncommon in building the US Capitol dome from that material. So it was girders and panels all made from cast iron, which is not a common building material that you would find now. Of course, now if you're going to build a large structure like that, you would use steel girders as your beams as opposed to iron, because iron is far more brittle and less and has less tensile strength than steel. But it seems to have held up very well. I don't know how much maintenance it's gone under in the last 200 years or 150 years, but it is a pretty impressive feat to create such an amazing structure and building from cast iron. It's something very uncommon in today's day and age. So fact number 3 is a really interesting one. So I visited the Hoover Dam. If you visited the Hoover Dam, let me know down in the comments if you have and how impressive you thought it was. For me, what was the most impressive thing was the runoff tunnel. As you go over the bridge or over the dam, you can look down into that runoff tunnel and you can almost imagine that it's going down to the center of the earth, and it's absolutely terrifying. But the interesting fact about the Hoover Dam is that there is so much concrete used in the Hoover Dam that you could take that same amount of concrete, lay it out into a road or a highway, and it would cover the span of the United States from New York to San Francisco. You could build, with that amount of concrete, a continuous highway from New York to San Francisco. If you can imagine, that is pretty amazing. So that is 600,000 tons of concrete, and that is 3.25 million cubic feet, or cubic yards, not feet, cubic yards. So, you know, it's a pretty large amount of concrete and quite an impressive fact or statistic for you. It's not a statistic, it's fact. quite an impressive fact for you with some impressive numbers. And if you guys don't know, obviously the Hoover Dam was named after a very interestingly named president called President Hoover. So, and it was really built during the Great Depression, and it really did create a lot of job opportunities for people who were very down on their luck whilst the economy was failing. So that's a really interesting aspect of the Hoover Dam. So fact number 4 is, if you guys know of Lake Superior, you know just how large Lake Superior is, but do you really know how large Lake Superior is? I'm assuming not. If you do, let me know down below. Of course it's huge, but you know just how big it is? Well, maybe not, because according to the internet and according to facts, which I believe they are, I've done my research on this one, so it's absolutely massive. So it's got a surface area of 82,100 square kilometers. That is absolutely huge. So it's about size of Maine. The entire state of Maine is about the size of Lake Superior. So it holds 3 quadrillion gallons, or 10% of all fresh water in the world. 10%. So in one lake, there is 10% of all fresh water on the globe. Consider that. So, and it is ridiculously large. And to put that into perspective, the interesting fact about Lake Superior is that if you are looking at a depth of only 30 centimeters, Lake Superior has enough water to cover both North and South America under 30 centimeters of water. Both continents, it has enough water to cover them under 30 centimeters. Now 30 centimeters, I know I'm doing that, but 30 centimeters is something more like that, about 12.5 inches, so about a foot. So it is a ridiculous amount of water. And number 5, this is a short video, so number 5 is coming to you really quickly, is the Liberty Bell. So there are 2 or 3 facts that are really interesting about the Liberty Bell. First of all, do you know the size and weight of the Liberty Bell? The size and weight of the Liberty Bell is ridiculous. It's 943 kilograms. That's 1,000 kilograms, about 2,500 pounds, right? So, or just between 2.5 and 2,500 pounds. It's a ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculously heavy. But here are 2 really interesting facts about it. Do you know where it was made? If you know where it was made, and the sister bell to the Liberty Bell, let me know in the comments. It's very interesting. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so the actual sister to the Liberty Bell is Big Ben in London. So you know Big Ben, the Houses of Parliament, of course, a very famous landmark all over the world, and it resides in central London in Westminster. The Liberty Bell was made at the exact same location as the bell in the Big Ben was made. Go figure. And the interesting thing about the Liberty Bell is that it contains a typo. Well, it is a typo now, but it wasn't back then. So when the bell was created, if you look closely on the bell, it says the word Pennsylvania for the state. But the interesting thing about the word is that for today's spelling, it's spelled incorrectly. It's a typo. But back then, when it was written on the bell or engraved into the bell, that was actually an accepted way to spell Pennsylvania. There was more than one way before sort of the spelling was standardized for it to be spelled. So it's actually spelled incorrectly. So yeah, that's a really interesting fact to know about. It's not technically a typo, but for today's day, it does not spell Pennsylvania as it should be spelled. So those are 5 interesting and amazing facts about the United States. Guys, there is probably a list of 1,000 things, because the United States has such an explosive history and culture. It has been produced through, through the landing of the Mayflower, through Christopher Columbus, and sorry, just to clarify, I understand those are 2 different scenarios. Yeah, the Mayflower and Christopher Columbus, 2 different things, but there was meant to be a comment between those. From the first settlers and the first Thanksgiving to the creation of the 13 colonies and what would eventually become the United States in 1776. Although, did you know, an extra bonus fact, that the draft of the Declaration of Independence was actually completed on the 2nd of July, but it was not until the 4th of July that it was officially signed. So that's another fact that wasn't meant to be on the list. But if you enjoyed this video and you enjoyed learning facts about the United States with me as I'm learning, click on the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell, not the Liberty bell, the notification bell, so you don't miss out on any new content. You guys have been absolutely amazing. Your support is fantastic. And check out my Instagram, Twitter, and my Patreon down in the description. And feel free to leave a donation if you really feel like you want to with that super thanks button, or simply subscribe to Patreon to see amazing content. Have a fantastic day, guys, and I will see you very soon.